Good day, ladies and gentlemen. How's everybody? So, it's a little hot here in South Texas today, but today I'm riding. I have to do what you normally do when you get to my age, at least me, maybe because I'm so broken. I've got a doctor's appointment, so I decided to jump on the bike and behave as best as possible and ride this little freeway system to get to my doctor. Now, it's nothing serious, it's just I've got a shoulder issue. It's not giving me problems on the bike, so that's a good thing. But he gave me an injection a couple of weeks ago. It's a follow-up, but I've been babying it. I figured if I have time, depending on how traffic is, I'll tell you kind of the culture of motorcycling. Oh, there's a curve. The culture of motorcycling, as I see it, or saw it through my life. I mentioned in the previous videos, I need to work on that blue shifting. As I mentioned in the previous videos, I started 55 years ago. And at that time, the older guys will know, if there's anybody, young ladies and gentlemen watching, you probably know the On Any Sunday culture of the early 70s. So that first bike I got was old Yamaha Enduros. Had a light. Just see Yamaha JT1 Mini Enduro, I think it is. I'll pop up a picture of it. The first thing we did, is, well, we got to MX this thing, so you bust the light off, and you, at 9 years old, figuring out how to take all that stuff off to make it look like an MX bike. And we were basically riding trails. So where my house was situated, there was a bayou and some woods behind it that ran along the bayou, a trail, a single track that ran through the woods, kind of maybe 3/4 of a mile down and back. And then we would go through the bayou, which was probably about 8 foot deep, to come up and out and try and jump. My younger brother and I were sharing that bike. He was 6, I think. And he smashed that thing into a post and ended up with a concussion in a hospital, unconscious for a couple days. So as upsetting as that was, even though I was fully down, let me get on the freeway here, with riding, once I saw my little brother in that condition and heard the news that he might not come out of it fully, and even at that age, I take this one for free. I was aware of the seriousness and had no problem when my parents said we're going to sell the bike. We were probably 6 months into riding, and I was just more concerned about him, and I said no problem. I can remember I didn't give them a fuss or a fight about it at all. When he awoke, they told him that they were going to get rid of the bike. And he raised hell in the hospital and told them no way were they selling his motorcycle, because the kid never felt any pain. He smacked his head. He had a half helmet on, or 3/4 helmet, what they had back then. We didn't have full faces. He had a 3/4 helmet on, and that post, it kind of caught him in the forehead, but it knocked him out. So he never felt any pain from the accident. Well, rather than, they just said, we'll talk about it later, and they decided not to sell the bike. Well, my dad got transferred to the panhandle of Texas right after that. And we took our little bike that we were sharing, left our friends, and when you're that age, a move is more exciting than it is devastating at 9 years old, Where we were in the panhandle was just flat and plains. I mean, there was a town stuck in the middle of a prairie. That's what this shit was like. Got up there, found there was a huge motorcycle culture up there. and it was basically TT flat track dirt because it was so flat you didn't really have serious motocross. I guess the topography of the place allowed me as a little kid just to jump on my bike, wind through the roads if I could get there, sidewalks, and as soon as I hit the perimeter of town, I was in a place I could ride. They were open fields. They were county property that was used for drainage, a lot of it. So it was open to everybody. And on Sunday, and so there were these flat tracks and TTs, just beautiful tracks that were 10 foot, 12 foot wide, with tires outlining them, and berms that were 2 and 3 feet built by the guys that were riding Pentons and, you know, Bull Tacos and all these bikes that were so cool back then. But they would come on Sundays because they would come from the bigger towns around and ride that area. But for me, it was my playground after school. So as soon as Pop saw that, I think he figured that we were going to be a little more serious about it. And we took a trip back down to South Texas and into southern Louisiana to visit relatives. I think it was around Christmas. And when we got back up there after the holiday, there were 2 XR75s in the house the first year they made them. Because I had been whining about an SL70, because to me that was the shit. And an SL70, my pop had taken me to the dealer around Thanksgiving, so I kind of knew he was looking because we had talked about an SL70, but he was only saying he was going to buy one. When we walked in the dealer and my dad said he's looking for an SL70, the guy said, "Oh, no, you need to wait." And he said, "Because look what we're coming out with." And he had a brochure for the XR75. And man, that was a wet dream. I was just done. I was willing to wait. So anyway, that's how those ended up in my house. And we each had our own at that point. So pretty cool, pretty fortunate. But he wouldn't buy me boots. I was having to ride in tennis shoes. Because to him, all that trick stuff was for monkeys. Just get on the motorcycle and ride. He didn't care if I could do a wheelie or slide the bike or anything. But I was sandlot riding, so I was out there with all these kids that had all this support. Their dads raced, they raced, and on the sandlot on a Sunday, I'd come out with my tennis shoes and flat track them to death on a stock bike, and was winning a lot of times these sandlot little races we were having, just riding with everybody. So that's where I cut my teeth. Every day of the week, as soon as I got off of school, I was on that, both of us. It was our transportation, it was our fun, it was our life. I mean, we were diehards. By this time, it was probably 74, and I'd gotten pretty accomplished, got a name for myself in the town. I was faster than my little brother. Of course, I was 2 years older. I was probably 10 or 11 by that time. And that is really, even though I didn't know the physics of the bike or what I was learning, flat track, kind of learning to slide the bike, when I stepped onto a street bike, those skills transferred so well. But not everybody has that advantage, and I've seen guys out on the track that have never ridden, don't know how to wheelie, have never ridden a dirt bike, yet they get out there on the track and they are smoking on the road race course, you know. So I mean, it's not necessary. There's lots of guys that never rode dirt and they're fast as hell. But for me, it was where I cut my teeth. Man, some guy flipped off of these things. Guys, when you're on one of these things, you enter this thing with the thought that if I'm going wide, there's only one option. I'm leaning over further. You've got a lot more lean angle than you think, and if you go down, you're not flying over and killing yourself. This is where I'd like to filter, and I might just do that. Anyway, it's illegal to do this in Texas, by the way, but it's silly not to be able to do this. And when it pisses motors off, I just think, man, dude, get a bike. I'm happy when I see a guy filter by me. Where was I? Oh yeah. So this kid, and like I said, on these flyovers, and the reason it happens here in Houston so much is, guys, we are flat and straight, man. That is the MO. So to get a sport bike here, or something, if you're into leaning, you almost have to have track time, or drive at least to the north all the ways, and get into some woods, but still, it's nothing like the hill country of Texas up near Austin. I'm not too far from my dock here. I'm going to keep this video longer than I thought it was. Getting back to those flyovers, in Houston, because that's the only curves you have, and I'm guilty of taking them a little fast and a little aggressive, but my mindset when I'm climbing that damn flyover, I've already put it in my head that I am low siding. If there's a problem, I'm leaning that bike till my bars touch. And for all you guys out there, even if you don't have the skill to lean the bike till the bars touch, you do it. That kid flew off that damn thing not more than a month ago. And you know what he did? He stood it up, grabbed some brake, and just went off the edge of it. And like I said, he's not the first and he won't be the last, but hopefully anybody riding any kind of motorcycle, if you want to get on that thing and take it aggressively, which I don't recommend at all, but go with the mindset that the only crash I'm having is a low side. And I've been doing that for years. Like, I commuted across this city for 50 miles each way. That's a long time, man. I've had that mentality about those things. Anyway, I'm pulling up on this, guys. That was kind of the first jaunt of how I developed a love for this lifestyle and just motorbikes in general. Certainly not, don't pretend to be the know-it-all expert on all this shit. All I can do is tell you how I apply what skills I have, and that is up for debate. You can decide what kind of, but I apply whatever skills I have, whether I'm on the track or on the road, and whether I'm on a Harley, a Vespa, or a Fireblade. You know, I mean, it all crosses over. Thanks for sticking with me. I'm GB. Cheers, guys.